What's up, it's Dave Bristow from Extreme Paint Studio here. This is the first part in the Wildlife Come Pet Portrait series. We're going to start with a cat, just to get you used to fur and like in focus and out of focus photographs. So this is the first one, there's lots to come. There is a section in this tutorial that goes a little blurred. The camera, for some unknown reason, went into autofocus and focused on my hand rather than the actual picture. So you can still kind of see what's going on. My apologies for that, but if you've got any questions about that particular area, just drop it in the comments below and I'll guide you through it. But it's basically self-explanatory. As I'm doing the hair through the wires, basically just spraying just to get those finer detail hairs. We do a lot of erasing. In fact, we take most of it out with our erasing anyway. But there is a period that is a couple of minutes, 10 minutes long, where you know it's slightly out of focus, but we get back into focus again and it's all good. You can see how the rest of it pans out, but hopefully it'll give you an indication of how I achieve fur, hyper realistic fur anyway, in animals. So yeah, enjoy. So we're going to be starting off with carbon black and just starting to bring in the eyes. As I always do, I start with the eyes first. So I'm just using a shield to begin with. I've done a little bit of freehand first and then I've brought the shield in just to get that sharper edge around the top of the eye. So we'll start building in the black areas and then I'll cut back in when we move to the next stage. Where I've done the black around the eye now using the shield, I'm just going to push out of that black area and create hairs. So just make sure, do little daggers basically as you're pushing the paint out of that area to create almost eyelashes. Just make sure you're shutting the trigger off at the end, just so you get that like dagger like motion. I'm doing a bit freehand underneath the eye now, but you know, don't feel you have to do it freehand. You've got shields, use your shields. We will be going in with other colours actually in the eye anyway, so it doesn't really matter whether you use a shield at this point. Notice I'm leaving a little gap between the two lines underneath the eye, so that's where a highlight's going to be. So I'm just leaving a gap as I paint, and then I'm just going over with almost like dots, just to mottle it up a bit, give it a bit of texture. And then I'll just continue on bringing in the darker hair on the left hand side. Again, using the daggers, just little daggers. We want to keep this soft looking because this is more background at the moment, and we'll be coming in with, you know, hairs that are in focus. So at the moment we're just creating the background. So I'm working on the left hand cheek now, putting in the darker areas and also just misting a grey around it. Even the darker areas aren't completely black, so they're like a dark grey, and then I'm going in with a lighter grey just as a base background, and they're keeping this all really soft because we want to be able to erase it. There is a slightly darker bit on the left hand side just above the whiskers, so we can go in a little bit darker there, but the rest of it we need to keep fairly soft. The dark area is just basically purely a kind of shadow, so we won't be erasing too much in that area. So we'll just add the pupil in and the grey area, almost like where the tear duct is. We want to keep that kind of soft grey. We don't want to darken that up because we are going to put some texture and some highlights in that area. Just putting some underlying kind of hair direction in now, just going in a little bit darker in the greyer areas just to give a sense of direction, and then I'm going to start blending out above the top left hand dark area again, just giving a sense of direction just with some soft blended sort of dagger strokes. Just shading just underneath the ear now, just using blended dagger strokes just to give a sense of direction of hair, bringing in the two darker points above the eye. Again, these are all really soft. There's no, detail in this whatsoever. So I'm about 2-3 inches away when I'm doing these daggers, these blended daggers, so we can erase later on. Going to work on the nose now. The nostril is obviously the darkest point, and then we've got, as it comes down between the two cheeks, if you like, we've got that darker line in there. But once I've actually got a dark line in, I'll just use daggers as I'm pushing up to blend it round the corner of the nose, so it's a soft blend around that edge. And then we'll come in with the burnt umber and start darkening up these areas. Just starting to bring in the shadow underneath the cat now, just running along the edge, not putting much detail in, I'm just blocking in the darker areas. So I now have burnt umber in the gun, and I'm just going to go over and start misting in some areas and start bringing some of those darker brown tones into the fur. Just erasing a little bit near the eye because I've just gone outside the map a little bit, so I'm just erasing it back to the map line before I come in and put the white hair, if you like. So just want to make sure that that darkness isn't coming out too far. Just run along the bottom of the eye and just bringing out some small kind of misting from the two lines that we done underneath the eye, just a couple of places. And now I'll start work on the ear. For some unknown reason, the camera switched to autofocus while I'm doing this ear. So you should still be able to see what I'm doing. All I'm doing is blocking in the darker areas with burnt umber. So I'm just making my way onto the top of the head now, just bringing in those underlying hairs, and then I'll move down the left hand side of the cheek and put some detail hairs in there as well. I'm just breaking up this dark area with the shield, just bouncing off the shield and creating almost like grooves in the dark area with the carbon black, and I'm going to work my way up towards the eye. Just adding a little bit extra black hair coming out above the left eye, just literally doing little daggers outside of the actual black area. I'm going to use a shield as well to also break up that edge, just bounce off of the shield into the lighter area. So I'm just doing a little bit of erasing with the Tombow eraser now. Where it's going closer to the ear, I want to use the soft eraser so it looks blurred. Whereas as I get closer to the eye, I'll switch to the glass fibre pen, which is a lot more coarse and a lot more sharp. So, you know, it actually makes the hair look like it's more in focus using the glass fibre. But as I go away towards the ear, we go to softer erasers. So we get that photorealistic look. For the real sharp hairs that are really standing out, I will switch up to the X-Acto knife or scalpel blade and actually bring those out really quite bright. So
You can use them for the smaller hairs and the longer hairs towards the nose. So we're going to look at the ear now. We've got the transparent sienna that we put in earlier. I've now put ETAC flesh tone in the gun, and I'm just going to mist up towards the transparent sienna and just fill the ear with a standard sort of skin tone, and then we'll come in with some other colours afterwards. Just keep it as a mist, no real kind of focus lines for now. So as I said earlier, we want to keep it like a blurred look, so it's the choice of a razor that we use. So I'm now using the dual-sided rubber, the soft pink side, and I'm just erasing the highlights out. As you can see in the reference, there's two white highlights, and I can almost make it look blurred just by using the rubber. So if I was to use anything coarse like a glass fibre pen or something like that, it would be too in focus. So we're using soft rubbers in the ear. So now we've got our skin tone in there and we've rubbed out or erased our soft kind of blurred look. We're going to come in with red ochre and put the redder areas in. I'm now going in with a violet. Just going to block in as a mist again because we want to keep it blurred and make it look like it's out of focus. So I'm just blocking in some violet areas. I'm now back to burnt umber, and I'm just going to bring in a few more darker areas that I see around the ear and on the top of the head.